worst toys from the 2000s. The 2000s were kind of weird. Y2K was supposed to end the world. Mick Bling and trucker hats were big. And every toy, toaster, and CD player was trying to look like it was from the year 3000. This vibe was made really popular by like the music videos of the time. So Hype Williams was a director who basically recorded all of his music videos with a fisheye lens in like a cheese grater. Like everything was shiny and chrome. You probably know that Missy Elliott video, or like the TLC, like Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls, any of that kind of stuff. Really early CGI where everything was like, looked like it was a doll and rubbery. This is all part of that aesthetic. If it wasn't a shiny blob, they didn't want it in the year 2000. This, of course, spilled over into a lot of toys from the era. So a lot of the toys from the 2000s were pushing this like vision of the future that was yet to come. Everyone was real excited for technology, even though Y2K was supposed to destroy the world. We were right on the brink of like the iPod and the iPhone and stuff like that. So people were looking forward to technology kind of taking over and being in their lives in new ways. Some of these futuristic toys were excellent. I used to love my CD player because it looked so futuristic, but others were just absolute dog food. Here's a list that I've compiled of 5 toys from the 2000s that were just wildly disappointing. I'll take off the glasses. Number 5, the Poochie. If you didn't own one yourself, you definitely knew someone who did. These robo dogs were absolutely everywhere. No one workshopped the name Poochie. They were just like, yeah, it's a dog, right? Pooch. That's what we're going for, right? No one saw the poop joke right in the title of the toy. The Poochie was a robotic dog, and it was meant to mimic a real-life pet. Except a lot of people just found it incredibly repetitive and boring. The Poochie was created as a direct answer to the Furby. The Furby was killing it at the time. Hasbro was selling millions of Furbies. So Sega and Tiger were like, we need a competitor. How about Poochie? The problem was the Furby was smart. The Furby could learn, it could talk, and it had some kind of brain because it was being banned in government buildings everywhere. I don't know if you remember this. If you are from the era and you remember this, they were banning Furbies because they thought they were like spying and telling our secrets. The government is still doing that to this day with like TikTok and stuff like that, so I guess not much has changed. Poochie was an incredibly redundant toy. It could bark, it could move its like LED eyes, and then sometimes it would sing "I've Been Working on the Railroad," which I guess is a hotly requested song of the 2000s. Just drop it in there. I'm sure kids will love it. Sega and Tiger went on to create a whole line of these. Chirpy Chi, Dino Chi, Meow Chi, and I think they even had a tie-in with McDonald's at one point. The problem was all of the toys were junk. They made a second line, like a Gen 2, that was supposed to interact with each other, and maybe they could both play I've Been Working on the Railroad. They were garbage. The whole thing was scrapped 3 years later, and all of the cheese had to be put to sleep. But it was the precursor to the iDog, which was also... It was kind of cool because it could play your iPod, but also a huge piece of trash. Number 4, we've got Aqua Pets. They were released in 2004 by a company called Wild Planet and consisted of a transparent tube with a little creature tied up and floating inside. It was supposed to function like a marionette, so it was held there by 2 strings, but all it looked like to me every single time was the healing chamber from Dragon Ball Z. I'm healed! It was actually kind of sad that you just had this creature floating in this test tube. It could never go anywhere. It couldn't even get out of the test tube. The problem with the Aqua Pets was they were also incredibly repetitive, but the water inside evaporated for a lot of them. They weren't super hermetically sealed. It just evaporated, and you were left with a little pet that was just chained to the ground for eternity. I just noticed this while editing, but they kind of look like a dick also. Each character had its own look, it had its own aesthetic, and then the more you played with it, the more songs it would sing. It did have a microchip in it, it had a brain, and you were supposed to kind of just constantly watch this thing. Like I said, it was always looking for attention. It's like that ex-girlfriend that you had who just constantly texts you once in a while to see what you're up to. And just like that ex-girlfriend, it did come back in 2011. They released Aqua Pets 2, Gen 2. I hope they sealed them a little bit better, but they came out with a bunch of new pets. Big L for Aqua Pets, having the water that your pet lives in evaporate and just watching it slowly drain. Saddest thing ever. You would have to drill a hole in the top to fill it, I guess, which is, probably not a bad idea. I don't have one with me, but maybe someone who has an Aqua Pet on here will fill up their Aqua Pet again and bring it new life. Number 3, Robosapien. Robosapien was supposed to be the toy of the future. It had advanced movement. It had advanced speech. It could think, and it could walk, and it could grab things and throw them, kind of.
Responsive, intelligent, dynamic robotics.
The problem was, It was just like all the other robot toys. It was a piece of junk, and it was just sold on this premise that, like, I'm telling you, this is the future.
Sapiens walkie slide.
The things were really expensive, too. They were like $100 at the time, which, you know, in the 2000s, like, not everyone's parents were just going to drop $100 on a Robosapien. It was just like all the other toys of that generation, just kind of a grift on this, like, future vibe where, like, this is what kids are going to be playing with in the year 3000.
Robosapien is the future, and the future is now.
Future's now, old man.
Number 2 is a doozy, Sky Dancers. I don't believe that anyone in any corporate boardroom ever even tested these with kids. They kind of just released them and were like, yeah, these are safe. We can just give a kid a propeller. I don't think there's a problem with that.
They're flying!
More Sky Dancers were burned in fireplaces than, like, witches at the Salem witch trials. Like, the Sky Dancers were just constantly yeeting into fireplaces. It's like they had a homing beacon to fireplaces. Here, like, here's a video.
And then, no!
Oh no!
They're flying!
The other thing was the propellers on these Sky Dancers were hard. They weren't like soft foam. They were actually solid. So if you got hit by one, you would know it. It's leaving a mark. Also, Sky Dancers are for girls. If you were a boy, you played with dragonflies. They had short hair and were way tougher.
Wow, dragonflies really fly!
Sky Dancers and dragonflies ate so much hair. If a follicle of hair so much as got close to one of those things, it would wrap around it, and you're showing up to school the next day with that cool bob haircut that your mom had to give you to cut the gum out.
I want to see the manager.
And now for something not terrible. Glitch Energy is the official brand of gamer wellness. And right now, they're doing a promotion where you can get 20% off using my code Blackmore. They got a ton of awesome flavors, and they just released Rocket Pop, which is my absolute favorite flavor. I have a Rocket Pop tattoo. Listen, I don't need to hear about it. 20% off, glitchenergy.com, code Blackmore. Number 1 was a huge disappointment for every kid like me who just wanted to play laser tag at home. And that is Laser Challenge or Laser X or any of those home laser tag games that they would sell back in the 2000s to make you feel like you could have the real laser tag experience in your backyard.
It's like the ultimate game of tag.
Spoiler alert, you couldn't, okay? I had my birthday party at laser tag once and had the absolute most fun. I loved laser tag as a kid. I wanted to play all the time. You went to this place that was like a knockoff Chuck E. Cheese. You threw on the vest. It had the lights on it. And you could actually like snipe people and like hide behind barrels. And the place was set up with UV lights, so you thought you were in a real action movie. That was huge in the 2000s. Laser tag was advertised in a lot of places. They had it everywhere. And they wanted to capitalize on that by being like, hey, you played the arcade laser tag. Maybe you want to play in your backyard. The home laser tag kits that you would buy usually only came with 2 laser tag vests, right? So you can only play with 2 people. If you were really rich, you might have had 4. But one of the batteries was always dead, and one person had to sit out because their gun stopped working. The lasers in a real laser tag place work with actual lasers and lenses. The home laser tag kits worked with infrared. And anyone knows if you stand in front of someone who's using a remote control, also infrared, it doesn't work. And that's exactly what happened with the home laser tag vests. They didn't work. You had to be standing right next to someone to even get like a hit. You couldn't be running and gunning. You couldn't be hiding behind trees. And God forbid it was too bright out. None of the stuff would work. If you got one of these working and you were actually able to play in your basement or something, you played it once, you threw it in the toy chest, you never touched it again. All the batteries were dead.
You're toast.
The last one is an honorable mention. It didn't make it into the list, but it's hit clips. Hit clips, a lot of people remember fondly. They're like, oh my God, my hit clips. I remember when I had that, I would sit and listen to NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, and it was my first MP3 player. The problem with hit clips is it's in the name, clips. They were a minute long maximum, so you got like the chorus and maybe like a quarter of a verse. If you wanted any more, go to like Strawberries or Coconuts or FYE and buy the album, or download it from LimeWire, which, you know, we all did. Hit clips, for the most part, were just a piece of junk because they only gave you a minute of the song in mono. They could have put more song on there. I mean, we had Game Boy cartridges. We had Game Boy Advance at that time. They could have easily thrown on a full song, but it was probably licensing or something like that. They were like, no, we'll just give you like a sample, and then you have to buy the full thing. So yeah, hit clips, ass. They were garbage. The little boombox was kind of cool, but overall, just buy the CD and a CD player. Those were the 5 worst toys of the 2000s, according to me. If you loved any of those toys, then tell me why, and then I'll tell you why they're garbage. Just kidding. Go make a YouTube video about how you taught your Poochie to do a backflip or something like that. I'll probably watch it. Thank you for watching, guys. I've been Brian Blackmore. If you get a chance, head over to brianblackmore.co. I just released my first merch collection, the Brian Blackmore video collection. Grab a t-shirt, grab a hoodie. They're really rad. I did the design myself, so I'm very proud of it, and it would hurt my feelings if you thought it was ugly, but that's fine, to each their own, you know what I'm saying? Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, and leave a comment on what you thought the worst toy of the 2000s was, okay? I love you. I'll see you later. Bye.
Bounce.